Hi, everybody. Been a while. Not really a lot to go through, as you saw in my previous video about a few weeks ago, where I showed you what remains of my remains. And so right now, I'm on the last 20 or so graphic novel boxes I have. A lot like these, some bigger, some smaller, but graphic novels. Trade paperbacks mostly. And most of them aren't that amazing. I mean, it's stuff I collected, review copies. They're meh. I wouldn't even reread them. But this box is pretty interesting. So I thought I would we'll do a review of it, right? Like I normally do. So let's start with what I found when I showed you in the thumbnail, right? And again, I know I said 80s and 90s. There's some millennial stuff in here too, but you'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, here we have the winner of the 2002, okay, so almost 90s, Harvey and Eisner Awards for Best Anthology, Bizarro Comics, the paperback. There's a hardcover of this, matte green cover. What this was is, I don't think you can read that, but look it up online. Basically, DC said, hey, we got a lot of crazy independent cartoonists out there. Let's have them do short stories for DC. So the, what do you call it? The spine story, I guess you could say. The plot is that Nixius Spitalik, the imp from the fifth dimension, has to save the universe, tries to find a Superman, ends up with Bizarro. And it's pretty dang funny. He has to battle the gamer, some of the game master of the DC universe. I'll show you here. Blah, 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 blah. Not a good picture here. No. Oh, here we go. There's the explanation of who whatever it is, right? And if he wins, yeah, he destroys your universe or whatever. So lots of cool stuff in here. The main story, Kyle Baker artwork, is hilarious. I think it's Kyle Baker, yes. No, Chris Duffy, Stephen DiStefano. I was close. Sorry about that. But in here, though, is one of the most notorious Superman stories of all time. Letitia Lerner, Superman's babysitter, which was published, I think, in a separate book, separate anthology, special, whatever. And they had to pull it. They pulped it. Because the babysitter, she's babysitting a baby Clark Kent. She doesn't realize he's super baby. Kind of like that scene in the Invincibles, Incredibles, which I kind of think they got from here. But yeah, that won an Eisner Award. So good fun, especially if you're looking for your favorite alternative artists like Carol A, Paul Pope, holy cow, Marie Severin, always good, Jill Thompson, Andy Watson, Eddie Campbell, Ivan Brunetti. You get the idea, right? So good stuff there. Easy to find, I would say. Next, sounds like the greatest Bizarro stories ever told. Should that be the worst Bizarro stories ever told? Here's an anthology title, DC. Anyway, we have the greatest Batman stories ever told, back from, this is, I think, this series was done in the 80s. This is 1988. DC did a series of these both in hardcover and paperback. Flash, team-ups, Superman, of course. Don't know if there was a Wonder Woman. They've kind of done that now with their anniversary stories, 80th anniversary, those big, thick hardcovers, which suffer because after Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they went to more of a continuity, never-ending story, basically. They stopped producing these great short stories, which you'll find in here. The last one in here is a great story, of course, which is the autobiography of Bruce Wayne, which is the Earth 2 version, where he marries Batwoman. Tells the story of how he married, why he married her, and all that, all the stuff that happened. But this is just To Kill. Legends in here. That's one of those perennial greatest Batman stories that you'll find nowhere. Detective Comics 500. The autobiography of Bruce Wayne is Brave and the Bold 197 for 1983. But again, $16. Should be able to find this used fairly very affordable. I'd recommend this over the more modern ones because, again, you don't have those great standalone stories. You don't have stories that say, oh, this will fit into the best stories of the year anthology because it's part of a bigger series, which is both good and bad. Next, we have from Piranha Press. No, it's explained in one of The Hiding Place, Charlie Boatner, Steve Parkhouse. Charlie Boatner was, I don't want to say a friend, but an acquaintance. I think when I lived in New York City. Not his full-time job. Full-time job, he worked for the government, but he was also a proofreader for Marvel Comics for a while. Haven't heard from him probably a decade. Hope he's doing well. The Piranha Press was an alternative imprint of DC Comics, parallel to Vertigo, where Vertigo was more DC-based in series. Piranha Press was more, I guess, literary out there, kind of Fantagraphics type of stories, weird one-shots. Best known out of that, well, is Paradox published that. After this came Paradox Press, which did kind of the same thing. Piranha Press had beautiful stories for ugly children. That's the best known series, which is comics, but not really comics either. But anyway, take a look for it. Here next we have The Dreaming, Beyond the Shores of Night. This was a spinoff. Characters that appeared in the Sandman series, but which were kind of owned by DC, although I believe Neil Gaiman did serve as a consultant on this. He still had that power. I don't know if there's something in here. Yep, Neil Gaiman consultant. The Dreaming created by Neil Gaiman. So this was a way for other creators to play within the world, universe, corner, reality of Sandman. Next we have from Fantagraphics, Why Did Pete Duel Kill Himself, which is interesting autobiography, memoir. Kid in the 60s. Pete Duel was an actor. Had a fairly promising career. TV show, I forget what it was, Alias Smith and Jones, I think. Alias Smith and Jones. Killed himself in 1971. So it's kind of a childhood memoir, adolescent memoir. Next, we have two volumes here. Starman, highly recommended. This is sort of a Vertigo series, but it's actually DC superheroes. He is one of the sons of the original Starman, the Golden Age Starman. James Robinson, Tony Harris, Wade Vaughn, Growl Badger. They have collected these, I think, into omnibuses or deluxe editions. But again, you have the paperbacks. Should be easy to find. Great series. James Robinson. Don't know what he's doing right now, but he's one of those guys that I will give a look partly because of that. He's one of those there. We have a very early collection of Strangers in Paradise. It's a Good Life. Terry Moore. It's Abstract Studio imprint. And this collects issue number 10 and onward. I think it's about 5 issues in here. 1996. Another good series. Good romance. Romance thriller. It'll make a good movie. Now, this I can't show the insides of it really. This is Howard Chaykin. Thick Black Kiss. Vortex Comics. This might be the first edition of it. It's been reprinted many times. This, I mean, it's black and white. Oh, here, I can show you that. I think he's done a sequel to this. He might have added more pages to this. Very interesting guy. If you see him at a Comic-Con, stop by, say hi, pick up something he's written. This is 1988. It was originally published. 99, 93? Or did they mean 89 and 93? Yeah, I think that's what they mean. So this would make a good movie. I don't know if he thinks it will, but it's got a fun plot. Here we have Preacher Gone to Texas. Again, you know the series. This is, I think, a series of volumes. They didn't number these when Vertigo published these. Maybe it is the first. Was it the first volume? Yes, it is the first volume. Issues 1 through 7. Next, we have X-Men Rarities. $5.95. Published, I want to say early 90s. Mid-90s. There's Winter Carnival, which is the Bizarre from the Bizarre Adventures. Try to find that magazine if you can afford it, because it also has a really good Nightcrawler story on there, and then an interesting early Jean Grey story. And here you have First Night from Classic X-Men #1. The early issues of Classic X-Men were reprints, sold directly to the stores without ads. So it's a 32-page comic. You got 22 pages of story. What do you do with those extra 10 pages? Well, you get Brian Boland to do new stories for you. Chris Claremont, excuse me, not Boland, John Bolton. So this is from Classic X-Men #1. Deal with the Devil from Oliver Fanfare, which was a high production series, anthology series from Epic Comics at Marvel, where people could do one-shots, printed on very glossy paper like this. This is Chris Claremont, Craig Hamilton. And Man of the Sky, amazing adult fantasy #14. Huh. Oh, wow. Steve Ditko. Okay. I guess he's a mutant. Did they retcon it? I don't know. And then you have opening volley, Generation X, which was 1994 San Diego convention. Lobdell, Buffalo, Buckingham. So, wraparound cover, it looks like, yes. So again, one of those nice little things. It's good value for your money. Speaking of really good value for your money, here we have DC The New Frontier, Volumes 1 and 2, the first 2 trade collections. Later they did an Absolute Edition, which I own. Basically, Darwin Cook with Dave Stewart. What if the Justice League existed in, again, New Frontier era, 1960s, New York, America, world. Tells all their origins. Even animated, they had to cut out a few things, but this is probably the literary sequel to Kingdom Come. Darwin Cook. Read anything and everything he's written. Gone way too soon, but that is probably one of his greatest works. Next, we have Walt Disney Donald and Scrooge, an early collection of the Disney comics. And this is published by Disney Comics when they ran the imprint, 1992. Got it signed by him. It includes Money Pit, Return to Xanadu, Treasure Under Glass, Master Landscapist, Great Donald Duck Story, On Stolen Time, Incident at McDuck Tower, and just phenomenal. Again, you can buy this or just invest and buy the whole series of the Fantagraphics Don Rosa library. Any of those volumes are great. Buy them, pretty much buy them all because he is one of the best cartoonists out there. Next, we have two Hellboys, Seed of Destruction, Mighty Hand of Doom. This has the Legend imprint on it. Not to be confused with the Maverick imprint. But Legend being the imprint that Dark Horse created for Creator on Comics. World's Finest, Superman Batman, a Titan book imprint. So this was the UK edition, which means I probably got it here as a bargain book. But this is Gibbons, Dave Gibbons, Steve Rude, Carl Kessel, and Steve Olive. Just wonderful artwork and storytelling. I think this was a 3-issue series originally. But yeah, Batman, Superman teaming up together. What more could you want, really, right? Oh, maybe I don't want. Flash Terminal Velocity, Mark Waid, and others from his run in the early 80s. And yes, I got the autograph. Wow. Not one I would have autographed, but his Flash run was good. And he did a really good job of working all the various Flash heroes, characters all together. And then halfway done, folks. Here we have Swamp Thing, Book 4, Murder of Crows. This is the reprints from the Turn of the Millennium, I think. These get reprinted every decade. 2001, yeah. Swamp Thing 43 to 45, Swamp Thing 46 to 50. Oh, the title change, that's fine. So, this has them battling evil. So all the Sorcerers Supreme of the DC Universe get together. All the heavy hitters, the mystical heroes, like the Stranger, Deadman, Swamp Thing, Spirit. They all show up to fight you. The actual embodiment of evil. Next, also from Mark Waid. This doesn't feel like it, but that's because it's very cheap newsprint. I kind of wish they would do this more often. Just because the coloring, when they reprint the coloring now, it's just so awful. But what this is Secret Origins, which was a series edited by Mark Waid, written and drawn by a variety of people. But again, after Crisis, you had these new the heroes rebooted, relaunched, but you need an origin story. So they did a series, and this is basically the Justice League collection. Because you have Batman, The Man Who Falls, Denny O'Neil, Dick Giorgiano, Mark Waid, editor. I mean, come on. O'Neil and Giordano. What more could you want for Batman? There's a lot of things, but Superman, for the Man of Steel, Green Lantern, John Johns, Martian Manhunter, Flash, and the Justice League of America. Good one-off series. I think there was a special, Batman special, with a story by Neil Gaiman. Very good. There is the Phantom Stranger, which, because no one really knows his origin, they do 4 different origins, and I think Alan Moore wrote one for that. There is the Monkey edition, or the apes, simians, which tells 3 or 4 different origins of various simian characters in the DC universe. Good fun stuff. That's the issue I would take. Next time I see Mark Waid, I'm going to have to sign that one. That was a great cover and a great issue. Fun. Here we have from Paul Pope, THB number 1. Although I think it's version 2. I'm not sure what that means. But for $5.50, you get this big chunk of stuff and science fiction. Although it's like realism, science fiction realism, I guess maybe. And just this wonderful calligraphic style of Paul Pope. He did Batman 100, which is probably worth a look. Just a lot of things. Don't know what he's doing now, but again, what to look at. Here we have The Bone Reader, which is kind of like the director's documentary, director's cut to Jeff Smith after the first trilogy. And there are 3 trilogies. People don't know that. There's 9 volumes, and each is a trilogy. He's got, look at this. Of course, he's an animator first, so I don't know. Let me see. Actually, get that on the. See the flip book on the top? Anyway. In reverse. But this explains the making of the first trilogy. So a lot of sketches, documentary, making of. No Isman, which is interesting for cartoon books, but still available. Don't know if that's ever been reprinted or collected anywhere. Next, we have from Mark Oakley, Thieves and Kings, fantasy book he wrote. iBox Publishing. A lot of this stuff was self-published. He has an online comic now, which I have not read in a few years. Don't know if it's been collected or not, because I think it would work. Given the current market of comics, I think this would work for kids. But this would probably work for young adult. But his new series is more, I think, kid-based, adolescent-based. So hopefully we'll see that in a collection somewhere. Otherwise, just Google it. He has a webcomic. It's free. Here we have from Eddie Campbell himself. Eddie Campbell's Bacchus. Yes, that is the god of wine and other things. In the real world, he's immortal. This is book 1. Immortality isn't forever. And first of all, again, Eddie Campbell's a genius. I said there's a lot of good stuff in here. I know you're going to get bored with that. But this is him and other Greek characters, Greek mythology characters, in the real world. Doesn't sound exciting, not really as exciting, but characters are interesting. Here we have Scott McCloud's Zot, Book 3. This is, these are black and whites. I believe all the black and white was collected, almost 2 decades ago now from HarperCollins. It's a big, thick book. If you see it, first of all, Scott McCloud. This is a series he did by himself. Published through Kitchen Sink Press. I want to say Eclipse published it originally. Maybe they published Kitchen Sink published it too. But this is 87 to 89. This is a 98 collection. There's a signed and numbered hardcover. One moment, please. I'll just keep talking about this. So this is girl walks through a wormhole into a separate parallel Earth that is still based on like the 1950s version of science fiction. Not as much Sturm and Drang. A lot more optimism. Don't get me wrong, there's still supervillains and things. But yeah, okay, there we go. Hardcovers. It's only for $50 right now. Signed copy. There were 500 signed copy, number of copies of this. But if we just search for Zot Book 3, and it hasn't been aside from HarperCollins. I think it was also. Well, that's the only thing that comes up. Sorry. Let me try this. So there was a color edition, which I don't think ever got collected. Yeah, $6 for the paperback. And just good, clean storytelling, artwork. Although this is kind of crazy. Excuse me, I'll go back to the camera here. That's a little crazy. But it's Scott McCloud. If you've read Understanding Comics, you have an idea of what his style is. There's just storytelling. Good stuff. And again, that's might be YA for the subject matter. But I think kids would enjoy it too, older kids. Here we have Mix Zane. And Mix is what Tokyo Pop later became. This is issue 1-3, December 1997, $4 or $5, and it is an anthology. One problem they made here is they were collecting everything. I mean, this is like Shoujo Beat, and it's just a lot of different stories put together, which doesn't mix because you got Sailor Moon next to Parasite, two different readerships. Magic Knight, Ray Earth, Ice Blade. Those are the 4 stories in here. So, different readerships, but I guess, they were trying to serialize it. Yes, they had Sailor Moon. Unfortunately, they didn't have bookstore distribution at that point. So, the cartoon comes out. You want to read the manga? Good luck. Bookstores didn't have it. You have to go to a comic shop. And the comic shop probably didn't have it because it was manga. And it didn't help that they censored it, like butchered it, when they aired it on TV here. But thankfully, in 1999, Pokemon came along and basically saved the comics industry in the United States. So, and then about 10, 15 years later, Kodansha then brings out the official graphic novel. And it sells great. It sells amazing. Here we have Days to Remember, a Shades of Grey collection. Jimmy Gownley. You might know his work, his memoir stuff and other things. And Amelia Rules. His memoir he did for Scholastic and a few other stories. Good storyteller. This is more realistic. His early work. Again, this is self-published, but it's adolescent storytelling. And pretty much, yeah, good. I mean, it's he doesn't draw the style anymore. The style now is more cartoony, but his storytelling hasn't changed. You'll see that in Amelia Rules, the themes in that. Even the latest book he published, the title escapes me. Has some gravitas, has a good story to it. Something really out of the way here. Editorial cartoon collection. Shred this book. The 1988 Pulitzer Prize winner, Doug Marlett. Also gone way too soon. They even put a nice little seal there. That was designed on. I was put on because you can see the embossing. See that? This is an embossed cover. And this is a collection of his cartoons, I believe, from 1988. His son now is an editorial cartoonist. He's also known for Kudzu, great comic strip. Let's see. Oh, here's one that's very apropos, even now. Ronald Reagan, Mies Era Commission. Mies Commission era. Nice silent comic there. Gary Hart. Democratic primaries. Another one that's timeless. Wow. So again, I do collect, not lately, but I do collect editorial cartoons because they are a wonderful snapshot of history. Here we have Stripped, an unauthorized autobiography of Peter Cooper. You probably know him. This is our various autobiographical things. You know his style. Most of you know his work from Mad Spy vs. Spy. He also published World War III, which was a political cartoon magazine. Still is. Political. So the comic book editorial magazine. Do you understand what it means? Instead of editorial cartoons, it's editorial comic book stories. Yeah. Okay. And then we have Decade, celebrating 10 years of Dark Horse short stories, which I'm going to say is 1988. 1996. 1986 they started. So you have Concrete, Black Cross, Trucker, Godzilla, Aliens, Nexus, The Mask, Martha Washington, Predator, Grendel, Sin City, Exxon Depot, which is Masumi Shiro manga. He did a lot of manga. Ghost. Let me start off with a Concrete story. The Concrete I highly recommend as well. So a lot of good stuff in here. I mean, most of these creators in here are now Hall of Famers, or should be. And Martha Hayden, Mike Behrens, John Arcudi, Frank Miller and Gibbons, Matt Wagner, Paul Chadwick. I don't know what he's doing lately. I haven't seen much. I haven't seen a good Concrete story lately. So, and then we have way back. I think this is from the first ISBN series, published in 1987. This is the 23rd book under this Saga of the Swamp Thing. This is the first volume of the Alan Moore run. There is the Isbin. Either the first or second run. But again, they weren't publishing a lot of books. Maybe 10 titles a year back then, 10 to 20 titles. You're saying this might be the second run of this. But again, good stuff, especially if you like horror. In the DC universe, because that was still part of DC. Batman makes an appearance, I think, in one of the stories. Swamp Thing, The Curse. Again, this is a more recent reprint. This is the third volume, the fourth volume I showed you earlier. But again, recommended for mature readers, of course. And this is, I believe, Stephen Bissett still, right? Yep. John Totleben, Rick Veitch, Alcala, Alan Moore, Warren Costanza. Good stuff. He just now finally came out with an absolute edition. He's probably sold out. I think there might be a few things wrong with that, but hey. Here we have V for Vendetta, which I think is the first printing. It doesn't say anything inside, but yeah, 1990. Good story. And someone actually recorded the song in here. The Vicious Cabaret, I think. Which didn't make it into the movie, which kind of disappointed me. Let's see. Maybe it's even earlier. Before the origin? Oh, yeah, here it is. Book 2. Is that part of the British run? No. I think it's after that. They say that there's a broken life for every heart on Broadway. They say that life's a game, and then they take the board away. They give you masks and costumes and an outline of the story, then leave you all to improvise their vicious cabaret. But if you look at Google it, someone has recorded it. Nice little ditty. Moore did write quite a few songs. I don't know if anyone's collected them, recorded them, but there you go. Here we have the Essential X-Men, the first volume. I was mentioning Classic X-Men earlier. This is the same thing, except just those stories. as it says here, giant size X-Men #1, X-Men 94 to 119. So the early seminal stuff, all the way up through John Byrne with a shirtless Banshee and an almost naked Storm. And there is the origin of Phoenix, issue number 101. Now here, this loses something because that would have been probably a color hold in the book. But that's where Phoenix arrives. Issue 100 is when I think they're in the space station. Here we go, number 100. At last, the spectacular 100 issue of X-Men. X-Men versus X-Men. X-Men versus X-Men in a battle to the death. Betrayed by Professor X. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, and there's the splash page. Gosh, how much would that be worth now? And that's Wolfman, not Wolfman. Dave Cockrum. Chris Claremont. So, this was $13 back in the day. Of course, this has been reprinted numerous times. I think this is the original trade dress, but kind of the Art Deco design. They altered it, and then they stopped all together just with the color reprints. Because they realized, hey, they can do a paperback reprint. You will be happy to spend $30, $40 for it. Next, we have really interesting. If you want something out of the ordinary, it makes you think. Tales of the Being World, Volume 1, Volume 2, has been reprinted by Dark Horse Press about 10 years ago now, 15 years ago. These were originally published by Eclipse. Larry Martyr, he has not produced anything since those. He did, I think, one new volume, and then I think Dark Horse realized it wasn't selling like they expected. So, oops. So, that's that. Which is sad because it's amazing book. Amazing. Not a parable. Metaphor, maybe? And then last, we have Breathtaker from DC Comics Vertigo. Love, Death, Sex, Power. Mark Wheatley, Mark Campbell, who had teamed up. Mark Campbell did a run on Sandman, which I'm sure you've seen. Most of you have seen. I think both of these guys also did. It's another Vertigo. I think it was Vertigo, or it might have been Piranha Press. Was the little kid in the insane asylum? I'm sorry. Just Google it. Anyway, so that was a pretty good box. Alan Moore, a lot of Eisner people in there. So we'll get up to 38 minutes. It's getting late. Not yet early, getting late. So I will leave you at that. Hope you enjoyed that. A lot of good reads in there. It should be fairly easy to find, not too expensive. But anyway, I thought you would appreciate that. There's some obscure stuff in there that you probably didn't hear of. But again, worth checking out. So, until I see you again, I hope you see me real soon. But until then, enjoy what you enjoy. Share that joy with others. And hopefully they'll share joy with you. And maybe you'll discover something new that you didn't know you liked originally. Didn't know you. It's like eating chocolate ice cream for the first time. Yeah, you know it's ice cream, but maybe you never tasted chocolate before. And then you're enlightened, I guess is the word. So be the light that becomes enlightenment. Until then, have a great evening. And thanks for watching. Until then, goodbye.